Ed Clark from Yojee. I'm the managing director and co-founder of Yojee. Yojee is about a 4.5-year-old company. We've really focused on supply chain as a business and looking at using software as a service technology, cloud-based technology to work with companies trying to solve the new problems in supply chain. And everyone has become aware of them, I think, since COVID, where you've got very large numbers of jobs now or work now being done all the way to the consumer home, and companies trying to get more robust and more distributed supply chains. So we started at solving this problem about 4.5 years ago, and we're quite unique in the way we approach the problem. And so I'll introduce that, share a bit about Yojee and talk about who we're working with and where we're heading. So as a business, we really focus on solving 3 pillars in logistics, and that is visibility, accountability, and control. And that is relevant for everyone across supply chain. I'm sure people listening and can all relate to the visibility problem where people are waiting for things to arrive and they're not sure when things are coming. A lot of that is a technology problem in the end-to-end supply chain, where because there's no visibility over what's happening in real time, there's very poor planning capabilities and ability to work with people to give them an update on, are things on time, are they late, or more clear predictions on time windows. Accountability. In Australia, the market is extremely fragmented. Even though there's Toll and there's Linfox, these types of groups, the top 4 or 5 logistics companies in Australia only own about 10% of the market, and below that there's lots of SMEs and mum and dad businesses. So it's extremely fragmented. So it's about helping people work with their subcontractors and partners and create efficient networks, which has been really a standout capability of ours and helped us gain some really interesting customers. The final piece is control. So obviously cost management, time to getting paid, these types of things. So giving businesses much better control over their supply chain and helping even our customers who would be the shipper or the manufacturer, getting even better control over their supply chains to improve margins. So a couple of the things we do, giving you some examples of areas we work. So manage, track and integrate. So we'll work with all the different participants on all ends of the supply chain, and we're solving problems in cross-border shipping, which we'll talk about a bit more. Logistics networks, where you've got 3, 4, 5 companies or more working together to solve network problems. So the multi-carrier use case, and we work closely with enterprise and SME. So here's an example on a page of how a supply chain works. And this is, I think, what some people don't see in the end-to-end piece. And sometimes we will get confused a little bit with some sort of startup last mile delivery technology. And you can see that sort of fits in a small part of the bottom left, where you've got delivery from store or delivery from single warehouse. Whereas Yojee's really looking at how do you move 50,000, 100,000 parcels or units through a supply chain in the manner that's presented here. So a lot of times there'll be cross-border, there'll be a first mile, there'll be a pickup. You'll often be loading pallets into containers, moving containers across border, moving containers out of ports into after customs, and moving them into warehouses, or what we call cross docks, and then delivering last mile, whether that be to a business or an individual. So this is really essentially what Amazon does as well. If you look at this process, this is their end-to-end process, and this is what we're trying to solve for everyone else. And why this is important is that milestone capability that people are asking for, when you log on, you want to know where things are, is very difficult with legacy technology to achieve. And real efficiency, when we're talking about AI, route optimization, planning, and cost management, is really difficult to achieve through legacy systems. So we solve this end-to-end problem. So we're very different to the last mile delivery technologies that people will sometimes confuse us with. And what we're doing is solving problems which are of a much larger scale that require much more agile solutions. And that's due to the rise of things like e-commerce and contract logistics, which we'll talk about. The system is IoT ready. So we're very capable of integrating in, the IoT devices that roll through pallets and containers and track things through the supply chain. We already support complex networks and multi-leg movements. We already support subcontracted networks, cloud-based, which is really great. The system's already in about 10 languages. We can roll out languages very quickly, so it's ready for global scale, and that's required given the types of contracts we've been signing over the last few months. The platform, giving a bit more information here. So it's all log in and play. It will manage everything out of a single interface, which is super easy to use. So it's really, really powerful, giving logistics users time back in their day, reducing the number of people that need to manage for these processes, because they can do it all out of a single laptop wherever they are in the world. So some of the key things, the features, track and trace, route schedule optimization, and ETA. So we can get real time and updating ETAs, which if our customers chose to, they could share with their customers. So you could get almost to the minute estimation of delivery at an e-commerce level if that was something our customers wanted to offer. We can automate a lot of the business processes, so we can actually help clients settle their business rules and automate all of the back office piece for logistics, which provides huge efficiencies in terms of dispatches, man hours, and costs associated there. We provide really interesting actionable data and control towers. So what that means is that very large contracts, and I'll talk about contract logistics, they can provide real-time dashboards to their customers. So for example, you could sign Bunnings as a customer. You could go to them and say, look, we're going to give you a real-time dashboard, so you can see all of everything moving through your network. You can see what's on time, what's at risk, what's late, what the SLAs are, all these types of things in real time, which is super powerful. So getting back into the three pillars that I mentioned, we really focus on these three things, and this is a reason we're starting to win large multinational clients. We have signed 2 of the top 10 3PL forwarders in the world, in Kuehne + Nagel, who's ranked number 2, and Yojee, who's in the top 10. The key things that, whether you're a mum and dad business or a multinational, you're trying to get an unobstructed view across your supply chain to meet demand with real-time information. You're trying to get the confidence in your subcontractors and vendors that people are delivering the value that they're promising and doing it within the SLAs that you're working with, because obviously you want to maintain those contracts, and that's critical. So, prior to us, the only way to manage subcontractors is essentially to either pick up the phone and try and call and find out what's going on with no visibility, or just hope that nothing goes wrong. And obviously SLAs can affect your total contract. So it's really important, and now people are pushing more and more to get visibility at the subcontractor level and control. So the ability to make intelligent business decisions in real time. So it's optimization at an optimization and planning level. It's which of my vehicles should I use to get the most cost efficient outcome, but also which subcontractor should I use to get the most efficient outcome. And that can be at a group of jobs level, it can be at a single job level. And it's really important you get that, because when you're in an industry with a margin of about 5%, it's critical that you're making good decisions all the time. So giving an example here, this is how contract logistics works and all of the players across an end-to-end supply chain. And this is particularly relevant for where contract logistics has picked up, but also what's required in e-commerce. So that central box is what we'd call freight forwarding. And that has been typically how the big companies in the industry have been freight forwarders, and they've got a lot of volume and essentially manage the cross-border piece. So the warehouse cross-docking and customs has been really the big component owned by the big players. But now you can see with the red boxes moving out end to end, what's happening is contract logistics, which is represented there. And that's for 2 reasons. Contract logistics is a much higher margin activity than freight forwarding. It creates much longer contracts and makes you much more sticky with the customer. So for example, we know customers working with say Apple or Nike around the world, will be doing value-added activities like reverse logistics, maybe repairs, maybe warranty work, working with the stores. So people are moving further up and down the supply chain and managing more pieces of the supply chain, which means you need a much different technology than that's been around in the past. So through this, we help companies achieve that end-to-end capability, where you're going everywhere from the first time, from the manufacturing place of the item all the way through to the last mile delivery in a controlled and single system manner. So some of the sectors that are working in this space, you've got the general shipper space, people just moving things